Welcome one, welcome all to the STN Racing YouTube channel. I am Jared Mackey alongside Mark Zabeka. Tonight, we are pleased and excited to welcome you to the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway, for tonight's Firecracker 200 in the opening race of the WINSTEL Cup Series season. Daytona is known for its close, hard, and fast racing, and tonight's going to be no exception to that. Mark Zabeka, what do you think we'll see up here tonight?
I definitely think this is going to be a different race for the Daytona International Speedway. It's not our usual rules package we're used to on the NASCAR circuit, as on restarts, after you clear turn 2, you're allowed to pass below the yellow line, and the amount of fuel that everyone has in the car is a bit restricted than we usually see in a race at Daytona.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how that plays with these drivers' things. And, one thing you always account for is the big one here at Daytona. Kind of sounds like a cliche to talk about, at super speedway races, but definitely will play a factor here tonight.
Oh, most certainly. These cars are an older style of the Cup car, so they should be really screaming once they get up to speed around here.
I've heard reports that the setup is pretty loose, so we'll see also how clean this race can be. We see some drivers heading to the back of the field. Maybe that's strategy. Maybe that's other things we're unaware of. But I believe we are going green this time by. We have 80 laps here in this one of the sunny Daytona Beach, Florida. Got the 83 car of Brandon Howe on the pole, followed by Adam Samsel with him on the front row. Now, Mark, we know absolutely nothing about this field. Who would be your pick, just based on a fun time thing that I can argue with you later?
Personally, I would just like to say Brandon Howe, just because he's the one I have the most experience racing against. Everyone else, I don't really know that well.
Green flag, green flag.
That's the logic makes sense. The green flag is waving. Brandon Howe is out front, and he has the 94 of Brendan McGee right behind him, and will push him as they come out of the tri over here.
Yeah, it looks like Howe is going to take somewhat of an advantage over Adam Samsel with push from Brendan McGee. Now, the 17 of Sean Pellig looks like he's going to fall in third on the bottom behind them.
Looks like the inside line right now, very early on in the race, does have all the momentum going for it. The outside kind of gaining a little bit, but there's just more cars in that bottom line.
Yeah, definitely the bottom usually has the best advantage getting around Daytona. As long as you can keep those left sides pinned up against the yellow line, you should be able to keep a pretty dominant lead out here.
We will be mindful of people who are maybe going to drive back to try to avoid any big accidents that take place. But Brandon Howe, the pole sitter, will lead lap 1, followed by Brendan McGee in second. The third high line is kind of fading a little bit. Adam Samsel falling back down to third place. Brandon Howe holding that wheel straight in the corners. Of course, this is the Daytona track that is not as bumpy as the 2007 version, so not that hard to drive, whereas, the 2007 version is really bumpy in the corners, really hard to push. But on this one, you can push pretty much around the entire racetrack.
Yeah, definitely a lot easier to push here, as it is the smoother surface. And it looks like the bottom line is still just as dominant as it always is. The top side also doesn't seem to be able to get as formed up as they would like to, as we only see 4 cars up there following Adam Samsel in the 3.
This is a long race, though. We're only on lap 3 of 80, so, they have time. They could even, and we know there's cautions are going to be coming, so that could play into the strategy as well. And I think these drivers are more than happy just letting the laps go by so they're not here all night.
Yeah, definitely. That's the last thing some of these guys want to do, is just log laps under caution and extend the length of this race. Nobody likes pacing the entire time, especially at a track like Daytona where things can get hectic towards the end.
Tough break right there for Adam Samsel. All of his drafting partners pretty much abandoned him and went to that low line. He's fallen back all the way to 8th at this point, and falling further, too. He only has 2 cars behind him, where the inside line is fully roped up and ready to just... almost got loose there off turn number 4 to Brandon McKissick, but a great save by him to keep this race under green.
Yeah, definitely that's real tough break for Adam Samsel, who qualified on the outside pole. It just doesn't seem like very many cars want to venture up to that high side, and that bottom side is pretty tightly knit right now, so I don't see him being able to fall in somewhere on the bottom here anytime soon.
Pretty calm, tame race so far. Usually not the MO for these kind of races, but I do believe that we will see this action pick up when we get towards the money end of this race. And once we see a pit stop, like we said, only 55% fuel, so we'll see how that plays into strategy for some of these drivers.
Yeah, definitely. That just means the pit stops are going to be a little bit more frequent than we're used to out of the super speedways. And once we get a green flag stop, that should definitely change the face of this race.
Connor Babel is now the new face of the outside line as he got by Adam Samsel, who's really staying true and loyal to that high side.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting to try to somewhat form a high side, but still not quite as many cars as we need to get that steam rolling up top.
Something to be mindful of also, like, you know, if you're Brendan McGee right now, you're sitting behind the leader. Brendan McGee can only sit behind and push the leader for so long before his water temps will start to get hot, and he definitely does not want to blow up early on in this one, so we'll have to watch out for that as the race progresses.
Yeah, so far everyone seems to be playing it real smart as we see them get a little squirrely there around Adam Samsel, but everyone keeps it under control. Yeah, they're just trying to log laps and be there at the end, which is really the best strategy you can go around for running a plate race, but certainly not in your hands all the time out here when we're racing on a plate track, because anyone at any time can just get in a bad situation and your day could be over.
You know, Mark, you and me frequent the Pickup Cup Series on iRacing, and we see that all the time. People try to win the race in turn one, but you got to hand to these guys. They're being pretty calm here. And if you compare this to what we saw on Fox and FS1 today, you got to give them credit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As the fields like this in the league section of the iRacing service is definitely some of the better of the racing, because you can handpick your drivers, as the official races, it's just kind of whoever signs up can get thrown into the race at any time, and you never know what you're going to get.
Brandon Howe has led all 7 laps so far. Brendan McGee pretty staying solid in that second place. Sean Pellig in third, Brandon McKissick fourth, and Gabriel Mauricio rounds out the top 5. No one really seems to be venturing to the outside here on the backstretch. Everyone's pretty much in line. We really have not seen anyone go below the yellow line. I'm sure that's something we will see, of course, once people start getting more desperate and more bold and try to attempts to win this race and advance their positions.
Yeah, definitely. Now, a car to be mindful of right now is the number 75 of Jose Solis Jr. It looks like he's up from gridding in the 21st spot all the way up to about 12th place right now. So, or 11th place, I'm sorry. So it looks like he's been one of the bigger movers in the field right now. This should be interesting to see how his race ends up.
To touch on that, Connor Babel started back there in 15th. He's now up to 6th, so he's a big mover as well. Interesting to see how far back. Adam Sampson's kind of recovered pretty well after being left out to dry on the high side. Back there in 7th place, below the yellow line currently, but gets back before causing any trouble. Single file for the most part. The first 10, 12, 11 cars stay in single file. Now basically the whole front pack here is single file, except for one car in the back.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's just trying to get these laps logged before they start making any kind of moves. I would definitely say once we get past the first pit stop, then we might see it spark a little bit more, but we never know what we're going to see out here, so we might not even make it to that far.
I've heard reports that, you know, with the 55% fuel, that's about 20 laps here, so we will see if anyone tries to short pit or if, you know, we get a caution to see how that affects the strategy. You know what they say, cautions breed caution, so those are really hard to predict when those will happen once the first one starts going.
Yeah, definitely, especially as we see 2 cars venture up to the high side up there. I believe that's Connor Babel and yeah,
Connor Babel and Jeffrey McClintock, yep, so far
Yes.
back there. And Christian Budd hops up and joins them.
Yeah, it seems like they're just trying to start something up top. Not going in the right favor for Connor Babel and the gang up there.
Hey, you know, they went for it. They were ambitious. And, you know, also they could be testing, you know, the closing rates and seeing how that could play into effect at the end of the race if they're going for the win off 4 or something like that. So,
yeah.
could be many reasons why they're doing that. And we almost had an incident back there as someone drifted high and tried to get back in line, but they were shuffled out to the high side pretty quickly.
Yeah, I believe that was a 21 car of Zachary Robinson. Tough break for him as he was riding about the 8th position on the bottom, and now he's going to venture back at least outside of the top 10.
The 47 car of William Boysford had a problem there coming off the corner. It looked like he got loose. I thought for a second maybe he was going down pit road, but he recollects it and lost a lot of spots in the process.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see people start coming down pit road here shortly, because we are closing in on that 20 lap mark.
Brandon Howe has led all 11 laps of this one so far. Brendan McGee, for the most part, has been second. If they gave out points for being in second, he would have all of them right now as we come to lap 12 of this 80-lap race. These laps are flying by so far with all this green flag racing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Once these drivers are just out here calm, logging laps, the laps can tick off faster than most people are used to, considering how big this 2.5-mile superspeedway can be.
You really can't say enough about Daytona International Speedway. You know, with the Daytona Rising projects, you know, all the great racing from all the great series we've seen racing there, it truly is one of the most iconic racetracks, if not the most iconic racetrack in the country.
Yeah, definitely. It's a track that every driver wants to win on, whether it be in person, virtual, you name it. Everyone loves winning at Daytona.
Any win is still a win. So that's what my grandfather always told me. Lap 13 here now. Still green flag racing. First 14 cars, single file, no big deals, but you know, they're starting to get a little bit dicey back there, going too wide, going into turn number 1 back there. See Brandon Howe now kind of starting to drive into the corner in the middle. I don't know if that's a tire situation or what, but Brendan McGee seems pretty content with just staying right behind him. We have one guy below the yellow line back there. That'd be Ali Osman back there, who tried to advance his position below the 51 of Nicholas Doucette, below the yellow line, but I believe he was able to do so. Sold out crowd here at Daytona. And it does not look like it's going to rain at all, which is, you know, pretty rare for Daytona races these days.
Yeah, definitely. This is always a race that any fan wants to come and watch, and viewing it is certainly something that anyone wants to do, whether it be in person or on YouTube, on the STN Racing YouTube channel. Definitely good times at Daytona.
Quick shout out to those watching on the STN Racing channel. We're happy to have you here and happy to provide this race for you guys, and we hope you're enjoying the show so far.
Yeah, quick shout out to our viewers in the chat. You see Rockmoon26, always a good common viewer of these races. We love to have him out here.
I believe that's Warren Rosario. Sun's starting to set, I believe, here at Daytona. I don't think that'll change the track temps much, but really creating gorgeous sights as they dive off. Oh, there's someone on the wall back there. Looks like Zachary Robinson might have been one of the involved parties.
Yeah, it looks like that group has lost the main pack completely now.
Yeah, Zachary Robinson got loose, put it up into Dylan Roberts in the 31 car, and that kind of sent threw a wrench into their equations, and so they're going again. No caution was brought out there, but I don't know if that was a tire situation or if that was a just got loose arrow situation. So we'll stay green for now, and that's the first kind of though like hint of an accident we've had all race, which you know for lap 16 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably trying to experiment up top, and sometimes you get a little too close to that wall, it just wants to suck you in, and he probably just kept it up there, so excellent driving by him for making sure he didn't collect anyone else.
The WINSTEL Machinists Union that rides on the front hood of Brendan Howe's, or the only hood, Brendan Howe's car, has to be pleased with his showing so far, getting a ton of TV time for that 83 Ford Fusion.
Yeah, as we definitely are going to see people start thinking about pitting, at least here shortly, if lap 20 is about the mark that these guys have their eyes set on.
Yeah, we'll get very interesting soon indeed. And green flag pit stops at this place are always really interesting to see because, you know, if you miss your box by the smallest amount, you've lost your drafting partner. You could be out of the race.
Yeah, it'll definitely shake things up, that's for sure. You never know who's going to overshoot or who's going to lock them up, or if we might even see a wreck coming to pit road. You never know. Slowing down from these insane speeds of over 200 miles an hour down to about 70 for pit speed is always a tough challenge out here.
in real life, the drivers have the luxury of putting their hand out the window to signal they're coming in for the pit lane, but on iRacing, they don't really have that luxury. So, drivers don't often want to give away their strategy, so who knows if they'll type in the chat they're coming in for pit road, and that could cause problems coming into the pits.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell if anyone's going to be pretty mindful or if they're just going to try to keep it a secret.
As you mentioned earlier, this series is run with the older Gen 6 cars, the Ford Fusion and Chevy SS, which, it's the same principle, and these are very good-looking cars, and they're free, I believe, on iRacing now, which makes it the most accessible to people who want to participate in this series.
Ooh, the 5 car got a little squirrely on the apron in front of Tyler Head, but it looks like everyone was able to gather it up pretty quickly and keep it on their good, happy way.
That was worrying. We saw him go below the yellow line there, and going below the yellow line on the back shot's not that big of a deal. Out of the tribal, not a big deal, but in the corner, that's the one place you do not want to dip below that yellow line. And he's lucky he didn't come in front of the field there. See, lap 19. We're kind of one lap away from that fuel window. We'll see if the information I got was relayed to me correctly, or we have a slow car on the below the yellow line back there. Again, the first 10 cars, single file, and we only have really 3 guys trying to run that high side. Just got a 4th. Brandon Howe has had nothing but clear skies in front of him. And Brendan McGee has had nothing but Brendan Howe's back bumper in front of him. So we'll see if he's starting to get frustrated by that. We see Tyler Head put in the iRacing chat, PPPP, which makes me think they're starting to come down pit road this lap. We'll see, though.
Yeah, you never know what that can mean in these days, but hopefully that means that they're all pitting.
We will see here, who's working with who has plans with who, because, Daytona Super Speedway Racing is all really about, who you can work with. You can't win it by yourself, but you can definitely be helped out by a lot of your people. And here we go.
It looks like
the
almost
masses
the
are coming down pit
entire
road.
field is going to come down pit road.
Only about 8 cars staying out on that one. We'll see how that affects them. But those 8 cars, I imagine, when they come down, will be all coming together.
Yeah, it looks like Jose Salas Jr., Matthew Solkanek, and others are out on the racetrack, and we should see them here on pit road within the next few laps.
We had contact on pit road. They looked at 3 of Adam Samsel got into something. It doesn't look like Adam Samsel got into his box cleanly, but I guess they'll start working on it. Brandon Howe got into his cleanly. The leader, no problems there. Joe Salas Jr. in the Shauna Robinson car, I believe, is now the leader. And looks like the group that stayed out will now come down to pit road.
Looks like Brandon McKissick was able to make up a ton of spots there on pit road as he was able to leapfrog Brandon Howe exiting pit road. I don't know if that's going to be in favor of him or if this pack's just going to swallow him up once they get up to speed, but good work and good service by his pit crew on that stop.
You got to wonder if that comes down to, it took 2 tires or what the deal was on that, but great stop by his crew there, and it will be interesting to see how much of a difference that those cars pitting will make. It looks like Brandon McKissick is way ahead, actually. He's actually by himself up there.
Yeah, he's got a pretty significant gap over this next group of about 4 or 5 cars that came onto pit road that first go around with Brandon Howe leading. So it'll be a while before they're able to swallow him up, but it's just the question is when.
McKissick did pit, and Joe Salas Jr. took the lead on that pit strategy. That's only the first lead change you've had tonight, the first and second lap now that Brandon Howe is not led, and Brandon Howe to the high side of Brandon McKissick with McGee on him and the 04 Gabriel Mauricio.
So it looks like, I believe after this pass is completed, they should be able to sort themselves out and continue to round the bottom as Brandon Howe was able to do for that entire opening 20 laps of this race. As they come up on lap cars here, this will definitely throw a wrench into their plans of getting down to the bottom.
The only issue with the guys that stayed out that are now the leaders is, they're kind of separated right now. If you look at the track, they got up to speed, so it looks like they will maintain the lead here. But, Christian Budd, Joe Salas Jr., they're closer than 3rd and 4th place are. and then you look all the way back to 5th, and it's just kind of jumbled back there.
I'm sorry that the 5 and the 77 were not lap cars. They are competing for position on Brandon Howe.
Brandon Howe looks to have the help of Brendan McGee. They've worked well together so far. Why not keep it going? Brandon Howe's working the outside right now of Ryan Doucette. Doucette clears. Now he's working on Tom Wetmore, as Wetmore has the inside lane. In that 5 Pepsi Chevrolet, 3M sponsored as well.
It does not look like they're going to have enough steam to get around the duo of Nick Doucette and or Ryan Doucette, my bad. Misspoke there, and Tom Wetmore.
We see the first 4 cars right there. They're really bunched together, and they're going to hold that inside line for as long as they can do. And then you got 5th back here, Ryan Doucette and Tom Wetmore and Brandon Howe. So those front 4 cars maybe could pull away here with these racers racing side by side here as they head off into 3.
Yeah, this is definitely showing that the bottom line is oh so dominant out here at the World Center of Racing, as the dominant car of the first 20 laps, at least, Brendan Howe, was not even able to make up those 2 spots with 3 cars to their 2.
We'll be curious to see, when we'll get our first caution. Of course, run lap 25 of 80, and, we've been green so far, so that's been great. Already over a quarter of the way in. And no cautions. 1 pit stop done. Probably 3 more to go, depending on how we see this race out.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see the strategies played to make it to the end on fuel. Depending on if this race goes green to the end, if we get cautions, you never know. But anything's going to shake up the strategy.
Howe is now tucked in behind Tom Wetmore in 7th. We'll run you through the top 10 really quickly. In first place, the number 50 car of Christian Budd. Second, 75, Joe Salas Jr. Third, 51, Nicholas Doucette. Fourth, the 88 car. 5th, Ryan Doucette. 6th, Tom Wetmore. 7th, Brandon Howe. 8th, Brendan McGee. 9th, Gabriel Mauricio. And 10th, Brandon McKissick back there in the 24 car. Big gap between 9th and 10th, as Mauricio looks to be on the end of one pack and McKissick the head of the other. Really single file, smooth, tame racing here, which I kind of expected this going in based on what I heard. I heard good things, and I heard that this race should be pretty clean as a super speedway race can be. Excuse my lisp right there. But as the laps start to wind down, people start to get desperate for this win. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah, it looks like we're out to a 9-car breakaway right now. So we'll see if any more cars are able to close in, as Brandon McKissick and a group of others are looking at, I believe, 4 cars, including Adam Samsel, possibly joining in on this 9-car breakaway, making it a 14-car pack.
Adam Samsel, who is now a lap down due to issues on pit road, so that's unfortunate for him. Started off the race, on outside pole, and then just kind of got shuffled back as the high line faded.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see from him. It seemed like he has a pretty fast car, and it's unfortunate that he's not able to show his speed here. He's definitely banking on a caution to be able to get back on the lead lap and show these guys what he's got.
And if you look at, if 12th place right now, William Boisvert, excuse me, he's in 12th. He's kind of with cars, though, and then you look behind him, 13th place is a far cry away. Tyler Head leading that pack. They're just entering now, halfway out down the backstretch, while the other one's entering turn 3. So they have a lot of ground to make up if we don't get a caution here. And really interesting how this green flag pit stop has affected these packs so far.
Yeah, definitely. It spread up our one really long line of cars and condensed them in about 3 or 4 smaller packs of a few cars, with our lead pack being the biggest one.
5 car now below the yellow line. I don't think he gained a spot there, but he really swung it out there in an attempt to get under Brandon McKissick. And by Brandon McKissick, I meant Brendan McGee. Apologies, got my Brendans confused there. Christian Budd leading this field into turn 3, out of turn number 4. We'll be coming to lap 30 this time by. Christian Butt only the third leader tonight. Of course, Joe Salas Jr. led for a little while. Brandon Howell led the chunk opening of this race so far.
It's just very, very quiet, very tame out there for that lead pack. Not a whole lot going on other than, as we see Brandon Howe go below the yellow line underneath the 77 of Ryan Duchette.
And they had a train of cars with him that time. I think that was a planned move right there. There's a coordinated attack by Brandon Howe in the 5 of Tom Wetmore behind him.
Yeah,
Ryan
looks
Duchette
like
gets
he's able
shuffled back.
to pick his way through the field now. He really wants that lead back, it seems, and he might be able to get there before we see them on pit road again.
That move by Brandon Howe put him on the back bumper of the Idiot of Farinayers. So we'll see what he's able to do on his back bumper. Now, Brandon Howe, you know, he like I said, he led the first 20 laps of the race, but you can tell he's not complacent right now running in 5th. He wants that clean air on the nose of his car, and he wants to be up there to lead as many laps as possible, put him in the best position to win this one. Again, they will go below the yellow line. He, the 5, and Brendan McGee will go to the inside of Andrew Fayanarez. Brandon Howe currently up into 4th place going to the turn number 3.
Yeah, they definitely have something figured out there, Brandon Howe and company. Looks like they should be able to pick off pretty much everyone. As they go below the yellow line again, will they be able to pick off the 51 car? It looks like he will be able to get a nose underneath him and pick him off for 3rd place.
Joe Salas Jr. got a little bit loose there off of 4, and that kind of allowed the 51 of Nicholas Doucette to check up. Got him a little bit loose, and then Brandon Howe saw the opening and went for it. Brandon Howe put him P3 right now as they race down onto the backstretch.
Yeah, this is definitely, as he goes below the 75 of Jose Salas Jr., and he goes for the lead here at Daytona International Speedway. Brandon Howe back out front in the number 83.
That was impressive. Brandon Howe and Tom Wetmore really put the work there on Jose Salas Jr. and Christian Butt on the backstretch. I expected, they've been going one by one every single lap we've gone by, but they got 2 for 1 on that one.
Yeah, that was definitely a really well-coordinated move by Brandon Howe and company as they're able to work their way through that single-file train of cars and make their way up to the lead. Definitely an interesting strategy, and as you see now, they're going to start defending all the way down to that white solid line below the double yellow on the backstretch to make sure nobody tries to hinder their run at the front here.
Tom Wetmore tried his best there to get by the guy he pushed to the lead. Brandon Howe was unable to do so, and once that door was open, Brendan McGee took it and pushed Brendan Howe, and they actually kind of got loose going into the corner there, but they save it, put Brendan Howe back into the lead. He will lead another one of these laps.
Yeah, we saw a little contact between Tom Wetmore and Brendan McGee there as they were side by side for 2nd place. Now, as we're going to see pretty much everybody that Brandon Howe passed in the last 3 laps on the high side, and they're just falling like rocks right now.
And don't look now, but they've already been out there for 14 laps since their last pit stop, so we're almost at the fuel window, the pit window again. So we'll see how that plays. They have a lap car they're coming up on here as they enter turn 3. Brandon Howe, Brendan McGee, and Brandon McKissick go to the high side. Looks like there'll be no problems there getting by the 54 car.
Ooh, looks like trouble there for Brandon McKissick's internet. Looks like he's blinking in and out pretty bad. Definitely be something to watch there.
Which is pretty horrifying to be behind if you were on a super speedway racing such close and you're supposed to be pushing the guy in front of you. That's the last thing you want to see.
It looks like he should be fine as of right now, as his connection seems to be stabilized a little bit, but never know.
In the sim, we have right now Brendan McGee on the back bumper of Brendan Howe. Brendan McGee all race has not even thought about passing Brandon Howe, so I don't know if he's asking for favors for later or just content with running 2nd right now with a clean race car. But Brendan McKissick in 3rd, Nicholas Doucette in 4th, and Andrew Fayanarez back there in 5th place in the 88 car.
Ooh, we saw that number 5 of Tom Wetmore wash up the track and almost cause a huge pileup, but everyone was able to gather it back up.
We will see the sun continue to set here at the Daytona International Speedway as time in the sim is just at about 8 o'clock, 8:40 perhaps, and time in the sim is times 2. So we will see maybe potentially this race turn into a night race here by the end of this one. Starting to get squirrely on the backstretch there.
It looks like everyone's going to try to get down to the bottom line, as they should be pitting here within the next 4 or 5 laps. Oh, as we see Brennan McGee.
Whoa!
Ooh.
He got big time loose there, looks of it, going into the trial. Well, I thought for a second he was pitting at the last possible second you can decide to pit, but it looks like he just got loose there.
Yeah, he might have gotten a little squirrely because of not proper bump from Brandon McKissick. Possible misjudgment by him, but good of him, Brennan McGee, to save that car.
Brendan McGee, I believe, now is part of the Dollar Save Club with that one. That was an incredible save and a really difficult part of the racetrack. Just seeing it there for a second, I really thought he was pitting, but the 88 kind of followed him too, so he wasn't alone, and he's, you know, not that much worse for wear back there in probably 6th or 7th place now.
Yeah, definitely. I also was like, oh, are we going to see some takers right now for a second? But that definitely threw a shakeup in the single file train that they looked like they were going to ride in until pit stops are starting to happen.
On the backstretch now. Still your leader, Brandon Howe. Mark, what have you seen so far in this race? What has really stood out to you?
The only thing that really stands out to me is just how calm and everyone seems to be outside of Brandon Howe being able to pick off as many cars as he was able to during that second run there. But everyone seems to be pretty content with logging laps, and also, if there is any kind of controversy on the track, they are able to gather it up pretty quickly and not cause any further action.
Yeah, that move by Brandon Howe, maybe they'll give other drivers ideas, other groups of drivers ideas to try to use maybe against him as we come to the money half of this race. Halfway will be in display at the line this time by, and, you know, that puts us right in the fuel window. So we'll start to see cars duck down on pit road here soon. Brandon McKissick got Brandon Howe really squirrely there on the backstretch as he gave him a bump.
Yeah, Brandon Howe has definitely put himself out there as the dominant car of the day, as he's shown that he really wants to keep himself out in the lead. As we see the 5 car of Tom Wetmore get insanely loose in the same spot Brendan McGee did, but he was also able to gather back up and save it.
For a second, I thought Tom Wetmore there might have been pitting, and then realized at the last second nobody was going to go with him, so he thought better of it. But it looks like he could have got loose in that same situation, as the field kind of, you know, they regress to single file because they know they're going to be pitting soon. I would imagine this lap we'd see a lot of cars come in. Kind of the same sort of numbers that we saw on that first stop, but maybe, you know, maybe more people will try to split it because they saw how well it worked out back there for Jose Salas Jr. When he had the lead for a little while. So we'll see what happens. No takers that time by. Lap 41 of 80 here at Daytona. We see the sun almost completely setting and the lights of the speedway turning on as Daytona Rising shines in the Daytona Beach night. Tyler Head again saying in the chat that they are pitting this time. We will see how many cars go with and how many stay out here.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see, as I don't believe Tyler Head is up in that lead draft, so...
I don't think so either. Oh, big wreck in the back!
Huge wreck. The 5 of Tom Wetmore, the 47 of William Bolsvert. Hard impact into the outside wall. It looked like they were coming down pit road and just couldn't figure out where they were supposed to be and caused a huge pileup.
I think that was caused by the 47 car and the 5 car of William Bolsvert and Tom Wetmore. Looks like Tom kind of came down, maybe William came up, but you really hate to see that there. It's the first caution of the night. A lot of cars that were involved in that weren't even near it at the time. They just kind of fell victim to the super speedway racing that we see here tonight. Our first caution coming on lap 41. And that kind of, you know, that's one green flag pit stop that's eliminated now from this race.
Yeah, this is definitely going to shake up the game pretty hard for everyone involved in this race right now. So many drivers that were just pretty content with riding this one, and now we got it cut pretty even between the halfway points. It's going to look like it's going to be divided up into two 40-lap races right now.
Interesting to see who is going to end up taking credit for that one, if anybody. That was one of those circumstances where, maybe one of them was coming down to pit and didn't see him down low or what, but that was a vicious crash, and we hope that all those drivers are okay as the pace truck catches up to Brandon Howe, and he will pace the field before everyone, and I mean everyone, comes down pit road. We'll see who wins the race off.
Yeah, I'm definitely not shocked to see everyone on their way down to pit road, as we had that caution right on the fuel window, so these guys must be starving themselves for fuel right now.
Brandon Howe gets into his stall. No issue, no drama there. Right side goes up. Brandon Howe gets away from his boss cleanly. He will win the race off of pit road, followed by Brandon McKissick and Nicholas Doucette, rounding out your top three. I think we'll have maybe 35 laps to go when we get back to green. Adam Samuelson waved around the pace car. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. We are back here on the STN Racing YouTube channel for the WINSTEL Cup Series Firecracker 200. We are currently under the yellow flag on lap 43. This race, as my colleague Mark Sabeka alluded to, kind of a two-half race, really. I mean, the first 40 laps were caution-free, and we will not know what this caution will do to the second half of this one.
Yeah, definitely it'll at least shake up this second half of the race. We were able to get the first 40 laps done cleanly, and now we wait for the second 40 to be completed.
Tom Wetmore claimed responsibility on that last caution. Always good to see that. Looks like 1 to green
Hang
here.
on, we're not going green. Not
Maybe not.
going green.
Complications with the scoring here.
That's already been cleared.
All these pace laps that we're doing, this is definitely going to help these guys on fuel mileage and possibly making it to the end.
Scoring errors are being credited with the reason we're not back green yet, but it's iRacing. These things happen, so I'm sure these drivers will not mind more laps under caution, like you said, to maybe push their fuel a little bit further and maybe give them a shot to be there at the end.
It'll definitely be interesting to see if people are able to expand themselves and run that fuel cell out just a little bit farther and make it to the end without possibly doing a last pit stop.
As I mentioned earlier, cautions breed cautions. Will we see that tonight? Who knows? But we will definitely see a ramp up in intensity here as these laps wind down. Only 36 laps to go in this one. And, it's the first race of the season, but what a better time to win a race?
Yeah, definitely, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. This is just going to give all these guys and anyone watching this something to keep themselves focused in on.
Yes, indeed. The lights on the pace truck still out, it looks like. They're not double file. We will see. I will say it's been a pretty good race so far. It's been really clean, which really isn't the typical MO for Super Speedway races, but it has been a good race nonetheless. We've had a lot of good battles with Brandon Howe battling his way back up from 7th to 1st in a span of 3 laps. That was really exciting to watch. And I bet we'll have a lot more storylines to divulge ourselves into here as this race winds down.
Now these guys are going to be using a single file restart format out here. That seems to be the official rule of this league, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye out on.
Brandon Howe is sitting pretty right now in his 83 Ford Fusion. Brandon McKissick, Nicholas Doucette, Brendan McGee, and Gabriel Mauricio round out the top 5. Andrew Fayaneres in 6th, Ali Osman 7th, Christian Budd 8th, Ryan Doucette 9th, and Christian Kendall, name we haven't said much tonight, back there in 10th. Sean Peleg 11th, Anthony Burrows 12th, Matthew Stallnecht in 13th, Connor Babel in 14th, and Adam Samsel runs out your top 15. They're on the high side now. The pace truck dives into pit road. We will be green. Green flag in the hands of the spotter or the flagman. He waves it. Green flag back out here at Daytona. 35 laps to go in this one. Brandon McKissick gets right tight behind Brandon Howe's rear bumper of that Ford Fusion as they go off into turn number 1.
Yeah, these guys are gonna go out single file again, just where they left off, and probably keep it that way for a little bit before the intensity starts to ramp up. But we saw there before the pit stops, people were starting to make moves, especially someone like Brandon Howe, who is very content being out front and not going to want to lose that.
Below the yellow line, that is interesting. We got Brendan McGee being passed by Gabriel Mauricio. Looks like Mauricio will make the move that pays the bills, and Mauricio moves up into 4th. Unfortunate right there for Brendan McGee. No one really wanted to go higher with him, and he tucks in. Looks like Andrew Fayaneres let him in line. And that was really big for him. Mauricio, again, looking to challenge on the high side here on Nicholas Doucette, perhaps, but thought better of it as Doucette blocks high. Single file, the trend seems to be single file in the corners, stay calm in the corners, and then on the backstretch really is where you make your moves.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how many more people are able to make that same type of move that Gabriel Mauricio was able to do on Brendan McGee. As it looks like McGee's trying to do the same thing back, but he thought better of it going into the turn.
Yeah, I thought McGee was going to do the same thing, but he thought about it, in my eyes, way too late. If he would have done that maybe a little bit further back on the straightaway, he would have had more runoff room to do it, but I would not mark it out of the question for him to try that again the next time by. Lap 48 here at Daytona. Brandon Howe definitely has led the most laps so far. Was he your pick for the race, Mark? Was that Brandon Howe?
Yeah, Brandon Howe, always a good plate racer out there, so not surprised to see him up front as we see Brendan McGee trying to pay back the favor on Gabriel Mauricio once again, and still not quite able to seal the deal there.
Good job backing out of there from Brendan McGee. If he would have, stuck in that, we could have seen a big wreck going into turn number 3. He thought better. He realizes how much laps are left. Side note, Matthew Stallnecht has lagged out of this session. Unfortunate for him, he was running up there in the top 13 before his internet received throughput fell to an unacceptable level.
Yeah, it looks like Brendan McGee's trying once again to get that nose up against the 04 car. It looks like this time he'll be able to do it, as Gabriel Mauricio is going to now fall back in line and lose that 4th position.
That was the first time we've seen that move in that spot of the racetrack, just leaving the tri-oval. And he might get 2 in 1 lap here as he goes to the inside of Nicholas Doucette. Doucette, rather than making him go below the yellow, moves up before he even has to get there. And you could put Brendan McGee up into 3rd place.
Yeah, it looks like Brendan McGee also is pretty content with trying to get his car in high as the running order as he possibly can, as we saw him make moves in parts of the track where we did not see Brandon Howe attempt to make moves like that.
Doucette was able to do what Mauricio wasn't and fall in line and kind of keep his spot. He lost 1 spot, but it's not too drastic as it is for Mauricio, who has now fallen back to 8th place as they head off into turn number 1. He's still falling because that inside line just has the advantage right now.
Oh yes, this will definitely give Mauricio a good opportunity to start experimenting with the outside line, but not very many drivers want to go with him, as we see Brendan McGee try once again, but he's going to get blocked by Brandon McKissick as well as Brandon Howe, but that's just going to put Brandon McKissick in the sucker hole.
He's a sitting duck on that high side. He will fall back to at least third place. Try to get in line in front of Andrew Fayanera is unable to. Ali Osman looks like he'll close that door as well. And McKissick, from being in second, now back down to being in sixth place in the span of, what, 10 seconds? That's what Daytona's all about.
Crazy racing out here for the lead. We've seen two of the most aggressive drivers now running 1-2 as they led the opening 20 laps as well. So they are definitely the two cars that really want to get the job done today. As now we see Nicholas Doucette back into third place after it's all said and done.
McGee right now kind of reminding me of Cal Naughton Jr. from Talladega Nights. Always second, but kind of happy to run second. We'll see if that changes like it does in the movie, and we'll see if he goes for that win. You know, on that last time where Brendan McGee took the position from second place, it looks like he was going to make a move on Howe, but ran out of steam there and was content. And we have a caution out yet again here on the Speedway. Unable to find what that caution was for.
I believe it was the 69 of Jeffrey McClintock and the 3 of Adam Samsel. It looks like the 3 of Adam Samsel got a run on the 69 of McClintock and just wouldn't back off his bumper, washed up the track a little bit, and spun him entering pit road. And it involved both the 3 and the 69, unfortunately.
Look at the 69. He's got damage to his left rear quarter panel there. Unfortunate race for Adam Samsel. Really started off so bright on the outside of the pole and kind of fell back now. And, you know, to be involved in this, it's kind of unfortunate for him.
You hate to see that when your team gives you a really fast race car and you're ready to go show its worth, and your luck doesn't go your way. It's really tough out there.
You hate to see that indeed. Jeffrey McClintock, because of that, will fall down to 21st. Adam Samsel, a little bit better off, being scored right now in 12th. We'll see how accurate that is. Maybe now 16th, according to iRacing.
We see our leaders stay out, but a lot of other cars, takers on pit road, such as Brandon McKissick, trying to get on an off-sequence strategy to the cars that he's been racing all day for the lead, as well as Tyler Head and others.
We'll really see, what that does in terms of strategy. I mean, we're getting to the end of this race, and really interesting call. At least all the leaders stayed out, rather than just a few, to try to give them some cushion back to those who did pit. Really interesting that the leaders didn't pit. I mean, they have 10 laps on their stint right now, and maybe, they're hoping for another quick caution because, this runs 7 more laps. We could see them make it to the end. So maybe a good call there by the leaders. They know what they're doing. We don't.
I believe some of the guys that pitted just a little insurance on fuel to be able to stretch that fuel window just even farther than they want to.
So yeah, like I said, the cars who pitted looks like they were, 10 laps into their stint, so about halfway on a fuel run, unable to make it to the end unless, we get a ton more caution or they do a great job saving, but even then, that'll be a stretch for them. As we get another caution here, maybe after 6-7 laps, and, these leaders and everyone else who pits will be able to make it, so maybe a smart call there not to pit, but if it stays green, they start running out of gas, so they have to do a green flag stop. That could really be detrimental to their races. Lap 54 here as they cross the stripe under caution.
Yeah, I'm sure this is what some of these guys are not really wanting to see, is all these cautions that have been coming out since the halfway point in the race.
One thing that has given us a lot of entertainment so far is the fact that these drivers are able to pass below the yellow line. In NASCAR and the Sunday Racing Cup Series, they're unable to do that. And so that kind of puts the drivers in a box, whereas here, they can make the pass wherever they want to.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage that these guys have on their hand, especially with how dominant the bottom is. If you can just poke your left sides even further below that yellow line, you're going to be able to at least get it in the head of the driver ahead of you and possibly force them into a mistake and letting you into their spot in line.
Lap 54, coming to lap 55. There's going to be 25 laps to go here when we cross the stripe. I believe maybe they could be going green this time. They sort of seem to single up. I'm unsure. Last time when they go green, they got to that high side, and so similar pattern here. Maybe going green. Unsure. We had that extended caution last time, so. The iRacing pace truck in the middle of the racetrack. The iRacing pace truck just off the field. Brandon Howe in control of the pack.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is back out here at Daytona. Brandon McGee gets right up on his back bumper and pushes him across the start-finish line. Things will calm down. Everyone will get to the inside as they deck off into turn number 1. Single file all the way back in the pack. Onto the backstretch now. No moves being made yet. So 25 laps to go in this one. 50. More than 50 miles, excuse me. I'm not the best with math. That's unfortunate. You hate to see that happen on a live broadcast.
Yes, as we see business as usual for these front runners up here. Not very much going on, except for these, as we might want to start referring to the big three of this race, Brandon Howe, Brennan McGee, and Nicholas Doucette. It seems like they've been running 1, 2, 3 for a good chunk of this race.
When we restarted, we had 17 cars on the lead lap. 17 cars still, as of right now, in contention to win this thing. We start getting caution. We could have lucky dogs, wave arounds. We will see how those come into effect here. Brandon Howe, middle of the backstretch, running the middle lane. I believe he will duck it down to the inside here as they enter 3. Yes, of course. Brandon McGee hanging out in second. Nicholas Doucette in third. Oh, wow. Big wiggle there from Brandon Howe. He got the push in the wrong opportunity time, and Brandon McGee really gave it to him, but they save it, and that would have been a catastrophe if he got turned in front of the field.
That would have definitely changed the face of this entire race, that's for sure.
Someone in the top 5 for the first time. Sean Peleg now in the 17 car makes his way into 5th. Now, is that Brandon McGee's? Is that him starting to get maybe a little bit, frustrated with running second, or is that just a wrong place and a wrong time situation? Who knows?
I think just all these laps they've logged so far, he just got a little antsy and made just the slightest of mistakes, and it could have been a huge one for the two of them.
And Brandon McGee in turn 4 there again, just kind of went below the yellow line for a second, but there we go. Back in 4th place going for the move is Sean Peleg. Maybe put him up to 4th for now, the time being, over Andrew Fayenares. Sean Peleg, he might be the guy to watch right now. He's been up here for the first time. He's been getting really antsy there. And now he's getting passed inside by Tyler Head. Tyler Head comes into the picture for the first time tonight. Tyler Head followed by the people he was working with, including Gabriel Mauricio. Got by Sean Peleg on that one. Down the back, below the yellow line, as we've seen per usual. Tell you something to watch out for with Nicholas Doucette. He's been kind of at the inside of Brendan McGee, and Brendan McGee's been clearing himself on him. So we will see if, maybe he misjudges it. That would be a very, very bad accident in front of the field. But right now, we stay clean. Coming to lap 60. The next time they cross the stripe, we will be 20 laps to go. 21 laps to go. Math is difficult here in the Firecracker 200.
Yeah, as these laps are winding down, it's looks like the action should start ramping up here.
Something I'm concerned about is, with how often Howe and McGee are going from the middle to the bottom. Sometimes in iRacing you get that weird net code, you get those weird bumpers not lining up, and that can cause trouble for this entire pack, but nothing happened so far. as we stay green and Brandon Howe stays in front of this field.
That'll definitely be something to keep an eye out on for his net code, as these guys are just getting in awfully close corners, and you never know what's going to happen.
Down the back, Tyler Head gets below the yellow line, and they will be making a move. That's not Tyler Head, I'm sorry, apologies. But the move did not pay dividends. Someone is left out to dry on the high side, though. That is Philip Snipes, who I believe was the lap car anyway, so forget everything I just said for the last 13 seconds. Excuse my mistake there. Gabriel Mauricio looking a little bit bold back there. We are now 20 laps to go. I am now correct. Brandon Howe, Brendan McGee, Nicholas Doucette, Tyler Head, and Gabriel Mauricio, your top 5 here at Daytona. Fully under the cover of dark and the cover of night here in Daytona Beach, Florida. As we kind of weird going on the backstretch right now. Tyler Head is joining the front 4 pack right here. Everyone who stayed out on that last caution, you know, they're on lap 19 of their stint, so we'll see how much longer they can stay out for. Of course, those caution laps will have helped with that fuel strategy, that fuel mileage a little bit, we would think. But we will see them pit soon if we do not get a caution. We have a spin, X in the tri-oval, almost a blowover. And it looks like the caution will not be out for that. But there was a spin indeed. It's unfortunate back there. Back up at the front. Tyler Head has gotten his way past Nicholas Doucette. Nicholas Doucette looks like he's left out to dry on that high side. Doucette falling, fading. Tyler Head coming alive late in this one.
Looks like Doucette will fall in line behind the 04 of Gabriel Mauricio.
No caution put out for that incident back there. I think it involved 2 or 3 cars, but no one really stopped on track or no one really in the racing service, so we remain green. 18 laps to go here at Daytona. The World Center Racing. Tyler Head below the yellow line with help from Mauricio. They will get by Brendan McGee, or at least put him on the high side to dry.
As they get a huge run on Brandon Howe.
It's the biggest run we've seen on Howe all night. There's now Brandon Howe's best friend, Brendan McGee, the guy he's been with all night, is shuffled back, and now Tyler Head and Mauricio seem to be the new bromance of this race.
Yeah, definitely.
I ran out of words there. I'm gonna be frank. I ran out of words there.
He lost his wingman, and now it looks like Brandon Howe is just going to be a sitting duck here as we are getting closer and closer to this finish of this 80-lap event here at Daytona.
That right there is why Mark Sebecki just paid the big bucks. I would not be surprised if we see Tyler Head and Gabriel Mauricio try to make a move. They have to know that Brandon Howe has to come to pit road soon. Wow!
Oh, it looks like Tyler Head gets squirrely and he drives through the grass and keeps it in second place.
If they call Earnhardt's thing a pass in the grass, and that was a pass in the grass too, Tyler Head retains second place.
He got a run, but he had nowhere to put it because Brandon Howe is just right up against that yellow line. Now, this looks like the best duo we've been able to see out on the outside, Gabriel Mauricio and the 88 of Firecracker, keeping a good solid pace there with the leaders.
Everybody who stayed out, second and third, pitted, and sixth place pitted. But everybody else, they're on lap 22, of the fuel mileage stint. We will see when they will come down pit road, as they will have to do so before the end of this one. Tyler Head thought about it. You will have to remember the guy that got Tyler Head up to where he is now, Gabriel Mauricio, is stuck on the high side with almost no help. Tyler Head, wow, I thought I got loose off the corner there, but looks like he saved it, collected it. If so, and Brendan McGee put in the chat he's pitting in. This will be this time by, I believe, unless he already came into pit road.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge shakeup for the race right now, as we see Howe is just stuck out there around a bunch of guys he hasn't really been around all day, outside of the 04 Mauricio, and the 51 of Doucette.
Brendan McGee coming in. You got to wonder when Brendan Howe's going to make his way in. Ken Hoff puts in the chat that he's pitting as well. The name we haven't said much of tonight is Ken Hoff, but Brandon Howe is a name we've said more than anyone else this night. We will see if this is the lap he comes down pit road for his final pit stop of the race. Looks like it is. Even people who pitted under that caution are coming in as well. Maybe to just stay with the leaders, keep some normalcy. We will see how this affects the current standing of this race.
Now it looks like Mauricio is stuck out there with the 88 of Ferraneres and Ryan Doucette, as well as Brandon McKissick in the 24 car. So this will be interesting to see what those four do out there. Who has to pit, who doesn't have to pit, or if people that don't have to pit will still come down just for, like you said, keeping the normalcy and keeping them in the pack.
Interesting point about Ferraneres. He's on lap 24 of his stint. He did not pit under that last caution, so he will be running on fumes right now. We will see when he decides to come down. Maybe it's right now. I don't know if anyone's going with him. The 77 car of Ryan Doucette looks to be going as well.
But it looks like the 24 of McKissick will stay out, as well as some others out there with him. Anthony Burrows in the 62 and Christian Budd.
Ferraneres really capitalized there. It looks like Gabriel Mauricio was taking a little bit too easy going down the pit lane, and Ferraneres blew right by him and got into his box first. We will see how that affects the running order of this race. Brandon Howe, the person we assume will take back over the lead once this cycles through, is now halfway through turn 3, entering turn number 4 now.
Now the 50 of Christian Budd is going to be scored as the leader at the line this time, followed by Brandon McKissick in the 24. So it looks like these four, I believe, are just going to try to stretch their fuel mileage, or I don't really know what their plan is out there.
Ferraneres now back on the racetrack. Mauricio back on the racetrack. Brandon Howe coming off now, turn number 2. Let's see where Ferraneres and Mauricio are. They are going into 3. We will see what will happen here. Mauricio is kind of out there by himself. Doucette's catching up to him slowly. William Boycevert's on Doucette. They will blow by Mauricio. Look, he's a house on the side of the road as they come off turn number 4.
This is going to be interesting because that lead draft of McKissick and Christian Budd, they're not too far away from Brandon Howe right now. That could potentially get him caught a lap down if we see a late race yellow here.
That would really throw a wrench into everybody's plans. Christian Budd, leader as of right now. He's already led a few laps in this race, I believe, again, from a strategy call, as Brandon McKissick, for the first time tonight, goes for the lead on the inside. Brandon McKissick to the point.
Yeah, it looks like Christian Budd went to go past the lap cars, but nobody else in line with him decided that was a good opportunity to advance themselves on him. So we'll see if they'll just ride in line here behind these 2 lap cars, or see what the dealio is.
One of the lap cars goes high. I reckon the other one will once he is clear of the other. Christian Budd has fallen back now to 3rd place. Christian Budd's been out there for 18 laps. The leader, Brandon McKissick, for 16. And then 2nd place, Anthony Burrows has been out there for 16 laps as well. So they, of course, will not make it to the end. We have 9 laps to go. 10, maybe. Math is difficult here at Daytona.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what these few are thinking is going to be the benefit of keeping their cars out this long. If they're just trying to snooker the field on track position and hope for a yellow, or if they're going to put it in the ultimate fuel saving mode and possibly make it to the end.
It makes me think they weren't really clued in on the strategy of the rest of the field, and because of that, they are just out here along for the ride now, maybe hoping for a caution, but you know, there's no way they make it to the end without pitting. So we'll see what their strategy is and how it will play out for them.
Yeah, definitely. As we see them close in on the 83 of Brandon Howe, as well as Brennan McGee, as they are the next 2 cars ahead of them. Pack of McKissick.
Brandon Howe, for one of the first times tonight behind Brendan McGee. It's usually been flipped all night. Dylan Roberts was involved in an accident earlier on in this one, and he has kind of recovered pretty well as they come off the trial, into the trial, excuse me. and cross the line to begin their lap 72. Kind of a 3-car breakaway. You got McKissick, Burrows, and Bud. 38 seconds ahead of 4th place Doucette. But like I said, once they run out, once they start to pit or realize that the strategy's not working out, we will see that break down. And then you really have a 5 or 6 car group that's ready to inherit the lead from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here because we're getting awfully close to this finish of the race, and they're still out there. So I want to know how badly they're screaming for fuel right now because there's no way that I see them being able to make it, at least with a fuel cell with fuel in it.
The Doucette family tree is planted in a pretty place right now as they run 4th and 5th going into turn number 1. The 51 and the 77 car. Tyler Head in 6th. Ali Osman in 7th. You know, before this cycle of pit stop, you saw Tyler Head look like Superman out there making moves on the backstretch in the trial. Any way you could think of, Tyler Head was making those moves.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to solidify himself as the official spoiler of the race, but this pit cyclist seemed to throw a wrench in everybody's strategies. Everyone's all broken up all over the track, and I really don't see where this would have cycled out had everyone come to pit road. Now that we have these 3 drivers at the front of the field, 4 drivers staying out and seeing how far they can make it.
McKissick, Burrows, and Bud have all on lap 21, respectively, of their fuel run. And, you know, with 6 laps to go, I just don't think that's stretchable.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see what they're where they're going to cycle out if they do end up coming to pit road, or if they're just going to see how far they can make it on gas, I guess.
We got Tyler Head going to the inside there of Ryan Doucette for what will be 5th place. But when they cycle through, very well could be 2nd place. Ryan Doucette
looks like
strong on that high side.
McKissick is going to bring himself down to pit road this time, as well as everyone else behind him.
McKissick locked him up going in. It looked like he was going to spill, but he is able to reel it back in. And, you know, this pack we're looking at back here with Osman, Head, Doucette, Bud, and Feyaneres, Mauricio, they will inherit the lead if things work out for them.
Yeah, it'll definitely be wild to see where McKissick and friends cycle out here, if they're going to fall in line with that lead pack, or if they're just going to end up getting swallowed up like sitting ducks.
Someone who will be swallowed up is Christian Bud, by the looks of it. He is by himself right now on the racetrack. I believe he will technically lead this lap, but he is by himself out there. He is the definition of a sitting duck, I believe.
We see the 24.
Forget everything I just said.
And the 62 of Burrows pulling out onto the racetrack. Let's see how far back the pack of Nicholas Doucette and Tyler Head. They just entered the back straightaway as they got to the middle, so it looks like they will probably not be up to speed and able to hold off this pack here. They're going to have to throw some pretty impressive blocks. They want to stay up front.
It will be them against the world as Anthony Burrows leads with that Nature's Bakery car as we take lap 77. 4 laps to go here at the World Center of Racing. McKissick looks high, unable going anything there. Thinks about going below the yellow, decides to tuck in behind him as they head off into turn number 1.
I mean, they're actually a lot farther out front than I thought they would have been at this point. But we'll see what this pack is going to do to them.
The strategy call of the century here for Brandon McKissick and Anthony Burrows.
Yeah, if this one pays off for them, it's definitely a check mark in their pocket, in their crew chief's pocket. Very great strategy call to get them this track position that they so badly needed.
They should play the lottery. In the second pack, we have Ryan Doucette falling off a little bit, being stuck on that outside line. We have 4 cars. Tyler Head, Ali Osman, Gabriel Mauricio, and Andrew Feyaneres kind of signaling out. If they stay together, they definitely could catch that 2-car mix of Anthony Burrows and Brandon McKissick. 3 laps to go here at Daytona.
Yeah, this 2-car breakaway is definitely not what that pack of the leaders wanted to see.
We have a spin in the back, hard in the wall. Caution is out. That will really make things interesting here. And if you're Anthony Burrows and Brandon McKissick, that is the last thing you wanted to see. They had this race, barring anything like this, basically in their pockets as we were going to come to 2 to go.
Yeah, that definitely is going to put a damper on that strategy. I mean, it was definitely a bold one by them, but it looked like it was going to play out up until this point. Definitely not something as a fan that I would have wanted to see, just because I like when people are able to put out that different off-the-wall type of strategy and really show these guys and outsmart the rest of the field.
Everything we've seen all race is now out the window. Partnerships we saw, duos we saw, tandems we saw are now gone, as everybody now on the lead lap has a chance to win this one, the inaugural race of the WINSTEL Cup Series season.
Yes, so this will be green-white checkered attempt 1, and the only one, because they do one green-white checkered attempt.
Now, will we see... I believe the cautions are coming from the towers, so I'm unsure if we will see them race back or what the situation with that is, if the field will be frozen after a caution. But Anthony Burrows, he and Brandon McKissick played this strategy perfectly, and now will they be able to defend their positions and end up in the Gatorade victory lane here at the Daytona International Speedway?
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one for them, because they're going to be out front and possibly sitting ducks.
Anthony Burrows and that 62 blue Nature's Bakery Ford Fusion. First laps he's led all night were going to be the most important. Lap 80 on right now would have been the scheduled distance of this one. We will have extra laps overtime here at the World Center of Racing. One attempt at a green-white checkered finish.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see this green-white checkered finish here, because these guys are going to be all amped up and ready to give themselves their best opportunity to win one of these things.
Big problems in the back of the pack as Ryan Doucette was just put into the inside wall by the 54 car of Brandon. Wow. The 54 really was just coming up. I believe he was getting waved around, and the 77 came up, didn't see him, and the 77 from 7th place, say that 7 times, is now in the wall and looks to be out of this one with damage. A really weird situation there for the 77.
Yeah, that's not something we typically see out here, but you know, mistakes happen. We're all human, and just one of those racing deals, I guess.
That is unfortunate for the 77 car. He was doing really well with with the run so far tonight. He was with his family member there, Nicholas Doucette, and they looked like they were the cars to beat there for a little while. If you're watching, bear with us. ATVO is having some issues, but it will not stop us from giving you the end to this incredible race that we have on hand here. What this could turn into, no one knows. It is currently a crisp, balmy 87 degrees in the air, 88 degrees on the racetrack. Is in the sim time. It is now 10:08 at night. The sun fully set, the lights all the way on here, and the fireworks have not even come close to beginning as we see this one green-white checkered attempt to try to decide the winner for the Firecracker 200 here on STN Racing.
From race control, they said that this green and white checkered will be, quote, the point of no return. So I don't believe we will see them throw any cautions during that 2-lap event that we will see here added on to the end of this race.
That spices things up even more. That's what the fans want. We will see a winner on the racetrack and not from the tower. That is good news for everyone involved. Anthony Burrows has to be, his heart rate has to be up a little bit tonight, don't you think, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Like, he didn't seem like he was going to have a shot at this if this went straight up, but he put himself in position to be out in the front, and I don't think this is exactly what he anticipated, but he's going to do everything he can to fend off any challenger to win here at the World Center of Racing.
You know, I don't want to count him out completely, but I will have to mention Brandon Howe, the absolute dominant car of this race, led more laps than I can even count. He sits back in 8th. I wouldn't rule him out, but right now it's looking bleak. We will start to see these really bold moves on the backstretch. Pace truck coming in this time, I believe. Here we go. Anthony Burrows from the point.
Green flag.
Green flag is out. We are back racing at Daytona. The only attempt at a green-white checkered. Burrows crossed the stripes. McKissick in second. Tyler Head in third. Single file for now as they go off into turn number 1. McKissick quickly on the back bumper of Burrows. Going into turn number 2. Burrows still at the point. McKissick third. Tyler Head fourth. Expect to see something here off the corner below the yellow line. McKissick blinking in and out. That's the worst case scenario for everybody in the field. Burrows still the leader here. The field's going to go off into turn number 3. McKissick really is being an unfortunate circumstance right there in second place as Tyler Head really can't do anything about that. This is the worst time for McKissick Internet to do that. Burrows left too much on that inside as McKissick goes high, but unable. It looks like the field is going to leave McKissick out to dry. Maybe that's the internet. Maybe the run wasn't good enough. Tyler Head thinks about the inside. They save it in the back. No wreck there, and we are on the white flag lap here at Daytona.
It looks like we're going to see an outside line try to form, but McKissick's internet.
There is a wreck at the back. Never mind. Tyler Head. Burrows goes to the inside. Tyler Head all the way to the bottom.
They are 4 wide for second place.
They are 4 wide for second place, Mark. We will see Burrows with a lot of traffic.
Tyler Head.
It looks like Anthony Burrows will go on to win this one.
Unchallenged.
Unchallenged. That was an incredible final lap. They were 4 wide. And now Anthony Burrows gets it done. And that, you know, what a win that is for him. I'm sure he'll be so pleased for that one. It looks like Nicholas Doucette comes home second. Brandon Howe, the dominant car of the race, comes home third. Ali Osman fourth. And Brendan McGee in fifth. Wow.
Have you ever?
No, I have never. What a win that is for Anthony Burrows. Nature Bakery has to be pleased. What a win that was for Burrows. Wow.
What a bold move by Tyler Head. It's a shame it didn't pay off for him, but he did what he had to do to try to get that win.
They were 4 wide on that backstretch coming into turn number 3. And, you know, oftentimes that doesn't work out, but for Anthony Burrows, that worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah, definitely. His strategy call, everything. It all went in the right direction for him, and once they got all antsy there, he just pretty much stayed in front of the wreck and was able to bring her home P1.
I'm not certain, but I am curious as to if we'll have anybody up here in the booth joining us for a post-race of any kind. And there's a few guys I would personally love to talk to, at least Tyler Head. And, of course, the winner, Anthony Burrows. Mark, anyone in particular you would like to... Brandon Howe as well. I'd like to... If those 3 are possible. But at least the winner, that was a great last lap here at Daytona.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to cover our bases right there. The winner, the dominant car, and the spoiler.
Burrows is really burning it down here. And, of course, he really deserves to. What a race that was for him.
Yeah, that was... definitely one of those outsmarted type deals, but he was also able to back it up with his driving talents.
Mark, what was your favorite part of the race?
Honestly, I would say either when Howe was trying to make his way through the field, or when Tyler Head was trying to spoil the party for everyone. But that last lap there was definitely stands out above the rest of them.
You know, that wreck at the end, that's basically what Super Speedway Racing is all about. You see that all the time, and we definitely saw that here tonight. And we knew we would see that, but for 90% of the race, it was a really tame race. We are working now on getting people into the booth with us. Of course, they got to walk all the way up the Daytona Rising bleachers to come in and talk to us, so we appreciate those who will make that trek up and do so.
Yeah, I mean, all these drivers out here put on a show for the fans. It was a good outing for everybody. I mean, unfortunate to see that huge wreck on the last lap, but I mean that's just racing for you.
Tyler had ended up falling out to 13th after that incident there in the last lap. Unfortunate for him. I don't think enough can be said about Anthony Burrows, really. I mean, he played the strategy perfectly, and it really, really worked out for him. And he started off fourth, so he had a fast car in qualifying as well. Nicholas Doucette started 20th, comes home second. That's a great day for him and his team as well.
Yeah, now you hate to see that for Brandon McKissick, who was on the same strategy as Anthony Burrows, falling all the way back to 12th. I mean, it was unfortunate about his internet connection, but he seemed to have a pretty solid car all day, and trying to offset himself on strategy definitely put him at an advantage up until that last caution.
Anthony Burrows actually not in the team speak, so we will get him in here as soon as possible to talk to the winner. I believe that's Brandon Howe now joining us in the booth.
It indeed is.
So, Brandon, you had the fastest, I would say you had the fastest car of the whole race. You led most of the laps, but at the end of the day, you come home third. How do you feel about that performance?
I mean, I was satisfied with what we did there. Me and the gang worked together pretty well there. We just had bad pit strategy that last caution, or last green flag stop. Should have taken on tires or two. So we got behind the 8 ball there. And that caution really helped us out there at the end. And I think if I could have just, I don't know if I could have shut my nose in anywhere different or gone to the outside, maybe looking back on it, a couple of those runs there. But overall, pretty satisfied. Got a third place out of it. Didn't think I was going to be finishing inside the top 10 with about 5 to go.
We saw for that first pit stop, you guys kind of fell back to 7th, 8th place, but then you and Brendan McGee, I believe, every lap would go under that yellow line on the backstretch. How much does that rule affect this kind of racing? Of being able to go under the line?
It. I mean, without it, we'd have been mostly single file there for most of the race. It really allows for you to do a lot of different moves that you can't normally do in iRacing. And, it shows how good the drivers are in this league, because that having that rule in that place like that forces you to work together with other guys and give and take, because obviously if you're going to just pinch the yellow line, we're all going to wreck one in the 3 or in the 1. So it's really helps, get the gang together and have some fun, good racing.
Awesome. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to old Tom Wetmore. He hasn't been back in WINSTEL for quite a while, but me and him were making that yellow line lack of yellow line rule work pretty well there under that second caution or second green flag run.
Awesome, Brandon. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and good luck next race.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Mark, that was a great interview we had there with Brandon Howley, third place finisher tonight. And now I believe we're joined by Nicholas Doucette.
How you guys doing?
Oh, good. How you doing, Nicholas?
Oh, not too bad. That was quite an interesting finish to the race, I guess.
Yeah, you started 20th and you were able to finish, bringing home second place. What did you see there on that last lap?
I saw nowheres to go entering turn 3, to be honest. I saw cars up at the wall flipping, coming down the racetrack. I didn't know where to go. I just figured if I could steer it hard onto the apron, hope that I could just find a way to make my way around all those cars and salvage at least a good finish. And didn't think I'd get second out of it, but I guess I did.
Closing stage of that race, we saw you working with the other Doucette there at the 77 car. Was that the plan going in, or did you guys happen to be in the right place at the right time?
I came into the race with no partners, no friends, nothing. I was just here. It was my return. I hadn't raced in about almost a season, and I was just here to have fun and test out my brand new computer. So I was having steering issues the whole entire race. I was trying to tough it out, and but no, I had no partners planned at all. This whole entire race was just here to have fun and see what I could do.
So how do you feel about the overall performance from tonight's race?
Felt pretty good. I mean, there was quite a few mixed emotions about the setup, but I thought the setup was great. It was definitely challenging when the tires would fall off, but if you would manage it and if you could manage your tires and not wear them out at the opening stage of the race, it would end out to be a pretty good setup there in the long run as well.
Just quickly touching on something on the stream there, like what you actually saw in that last lap, to go from the spot you were in to finishing second is quite remarkable. So any shout outs you want to give here before we let you go?
Just thanks to Brendan and everyone who puts on a good show here at WINSTEL from 2016 on. It's been a blast to be racing here, and I give a shout out to my teammates over at FSR.
Awesome, Nicholas. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You as well.
We are now joined here in the booth by Anthony Burrows, the winner tonight here in the Firecracker 200. Anthony, what a race that was.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. I was kind of hoping it would go green to the end. Me and Brandon did a strategy where we topped off with fuel at the final caution, and we were able to get a lead on the main pack about 2.5 seconds ahead. I'm not sure if they would have caught us by then, but I think it would have been pretty close. And then that caution came out, and just had to block all over the track those last two final laps there, and was somehow able to get it done. That was one crazy finish for sure.
So yeah, you kind of had me and Mark up here eating our words in the booth. We thought you guys were going to get gobbled up by the field there. It didn't look like they were going to catch you guys. Were you guys like planning to work together going into this race, or did that just happen in the moment?
Oh yeah, we're planning on working together. We kind of got separated a couple times, but found a way to get with each other right at the end there, and paid off.
At the end, we saw a really bold move from Tyler Head. Went almost all the way down to the grass to try to get by you. What does that yellow line rule change about this kind of racing?
Definitely makes it, especially with this cup package, it makes it easier to pass, I think, because the outside never really gets going, so provides an extra passing opportunity for this type of racing. So definitely makes it a bit more nerve-wracking being the leader, because you kind of have to block like all the way down there. I'm not the biggest fan of doing that, but kind of had to, and he got down to the bottom a lot quicker than I thought. I wasn't able to cover it off quite like I wanted to. And then, luckily, they all just wrecked going into 3 and was able to sneak by.
Awesome, Anthony. Any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go here?
Yeah, big shout out to you guys for putting the broadcast on. Shout out to Brennan for putting the league on, like always. And big shout out to Brandon McKissick for working with me tonight.
Awesome, Anthony. Thank you so much. Congrats on the win. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mark, we saw a really interesting race here at Daytona tonight. You know, it started off first half of the race super clean, second half a little bit more rambunctious, but at the end we had a really good finish and a lot of clean cars, but still a lot of wreck ones as well per the course of super speedway races.
Yeah, that was definitely not what I expected for the first half, but the second half was a little bit more par for the course, and definitely an exciting race there, and the finish was definitely thrilling to watch. Wow.
Word of the day is definitely, I want to give a quick shout out to Zach Johnson for doing all the behind the scenes work for the production here on STN Racing. What a great night here in the WINSTEL Cup Series. Anthony Burrows made his name known late at the end where it matters, and he will be going to victory lane here tonight in the Firecracker 200. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Jarrett Mackey alongside Mark Sabeka. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.